Hello, and welcome to the Astro Energy Astrology Show podcast with astrologer Shelley Overton.
Hey, and welcome to the May 6th, 2022 edition of the Astro Energy Astrology podcast. My name is Shelley Overton. I want to welcome you. I am here in Orlando, Florida. Looks like it's getting a little overcast right now, but it was pretty sunny today and it's very warm. It's 95 today. And I'm going to go over what's going on in the planets this week. I'm going to probably go by, we'll give you the overview and then we'll talk about each of the signs. And I'm probably not going to go beyond half an hour today because I'm not feeling 100%. So I am just going to keep it short for you. And this week I'm going to do the the screen recording. So let's see what we have. We've got, actually, I'll just read it off of there. I've got some notes too. Right now, currently, we have an Aries rising, and Venus is at 4 degrees of Aries, Chiron at 14. We've got Uranus at 14 Taurus, Sun at 16 Taurus, North Node at 22 Taurus. We've got Mercury 4 degrees Gemini, and the Moon is at 22 degrees of Cancer, opposing a 28-degree Pluto in Capricorn Retrograde. And Saturn right now is at 24 degrees Aquarius. We also have Vesta right at the same degree of Aquarius. Mars at 16 Pisces, Neptune at 24 Pisces, and Jupiter at 29 degrees, 11 minutes of Pisces. So what does all this mean? Well, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So when we have planets going through the last sign of the zodiac, and you can see here Mars, Neptune and Jupiter are kind of in a little stellium real close to each other, but Mars, of course, is about 8 degrees away still from Neptune and 13 degrees away from Jupiter. Jupiter will change signs before Mars gets to any kind of conjunction with Jupiter right now. And so Jupiter is going to shift energy. And what does that mean? It means that he's going from watery, immersive, emotional Pisces into fiery Aries. And Aries being the first sign in the zodiac, it is really an expression of self. It is the house of ego. It is where we see emergencies, where we take action, where we are driven to do something. Because it's a fire sign, we're going to have this drive to make things happen, make our lives and our worlds happen. And so while we have this drive, the ruling planet of that particular drive, Mars, is still in Pisces, wrapping up the old story. So that's going to create a bit of friction and frustration, quite honestly. Part of the intention I had this week was talking about mental health and our emotions with all this aspecting that we have. We have a lot of energy coming into opposition. Here, we have a lot of energy coming into opposition or squares, or just conjunctions can even cause friction as well. Mars Neptune means that we're going to get agitated when the ideal scenario doesn't appear. So Neptune by nature is an idealist. So wherever Neptune falls in your chart, that's where you really can use the energy of the sign that it's in and project it out into the world around you and say, wow, this is how it should be. So for instance, Neptune in Aries is going to say, that we have an idealized view of what our ego issues are. And we have an idealized view of what sales might be and how people respond to a sales call, or, like people should just know that I intended to sell something this way and be very receptive to it. So it's kind of beyond a normal scope. It really digs deeper into an ideology of, I want to say perfection, but it isn't really perfection. It's maybe it is. In a perfect world, this is how it would be, but it's an illusion. That's a huge part of Neptune, is illusion. But by the same token, a big part of Neptune and the energy it brings is a connection to a broader scope of information, to spiritual and higher understanding from the spiritual realm. So as we have Neptune as an example, going into Aries, it's going to bring a higher spiritual understanding of the energy of Aries. And so it's more of like, well, in a perfect world, the aggression would cease because Neptune is a universally loving energy, and Aries wants to express itself individually and assertively. And so we would assert that things should be more peaceful. If that is something you can wrap your mind around, that Neptune wants the peaceful, ultimate expression of the energy. So when Neptune's in Pisces, it's going to express ultimate love. It's going to express ultimate lack of boundaries for the negative. It's going to express high creativity and the higher understanding of the arts and information coming from the spiritual realm. So your psychic ability and awareness increases. So Neptune in Aries would also be similar to Mars in Pisces. So that's what we have right now. We have Mars, the ruling planet of Aries, in Pisces, really expressing this energy of the idealized version of how we should go about helping other people through emergencies, how we should sell to other people in a way of integrity, to understand the sympathy of what the person's going through, to appeal to that in an ethical way. It would show how we are presenting ourselves in the best light that we can, because that's what Neptune wants. So, all of the energies of Aries, which are ruling the head. So if you think about this, Aries and Neptune, or Aries Pisces energy together, which would be Mars and Pisces, is going to maybe idealize a hairstyle, like, oh, Mars wants short hair and Neptune wants to be creative, so maybe we get a short hair with a bright color. It's that kind of thing, like where you want to bring in a creative aspect, but you also have a drive and you have an assertion of an idealized view and loving view. So how do we combine those? And granted, it's really difficult to come up with explanations or examples of Mars in Pisces because they don't naturally go together. They don't particularly like each other's energy. Mars is really masculine, assertive, and Pisces is hyper feminine, receptive. So they're really not approaching situations from a cooperative energy. I'm sorry, I've got a fan on my hair, it's blowing me around here. So what I wanted to do, and I think I touched on it, but I don't think I completed the thought, was to look over every sign of the zodiac and really give you an idea for how they all interact with what's going on in the sky. And part of the reason I wanted to do that is because it's been a really difficult week. Personally, it's been a really difficult week. I've been kind of nurturing my daughter and her health issues. And of course, because I am very close to my daughter physically and emotionally, I picked up a little bit of her sickness, which isn't anything I'm not used to. It's definitely a sinus infection, something I get twice a year. I used to get twice a year, way back when I was in my 20s. And I learned that echinacea is a really good herbal tool to get rid of it. And I've taken it spottedly. And so now I'm going to take it consistently and get rid of this. But today, a little bit, not 100% physically. And also because of planetary aspects, specifically Vesta on Saturn and the moon at 22 Cancer, it's been really difficult. There's an inconjunct between Saturn and Vesta and the moon in Cancer. And that means there's friction. So the friction is there. Personally, it's within my family. And I have two members of my family, both with strong Cancer in their charts. My son has Venus and Mars right close to where the moon is right now. And so that's in conjunct to Saturn and Vesta. And Vesta is an asteroid that really is a taskmaster like Saturn is. And it kind of points its finger and says, you're not paying attention. You need to pay attention to this. I'm going to tell you what to do. And, it doesn't sit well. Actually, the moon on the Cancer planets, I also have Mars in Cancer. So of course, my Mars is being triggered by the moon. And of course, also because my Mars is only 10 degrees off of a trine to the Mars in the sky, definitely picking up that energy a lot. So there's some friction with Cancerian influence people in my family today. And that is not a good feeling, because what it's doing is it's bringing up trigger emotions. So when you feel a weak spot in your ego, and family members point out the very thing that you're really trying to achieve, but not accomplishing it to their satisfaction, or maybe even sometimes to yours, but mostly to theirs, that can be a trigger. And the moon in Cancer is definitely heightened awareness of this energy. Pluto, now retrograde, is digging deep into our psyche and really challenging us in our sense of self and our sense of emotion and our emotional lives. Like, why do we feel what we feel? What is our personal value to others? And that can be triggered. Having this opposition of the moon to Pluto, and now Pluto's going back to triggering those old stories that we've been dealing with. It can even be energy dealing with in the news. So, politically, especially Pluto kind of connects to politics. So we're feeling this intense energy, and it's coming out emotionally because the moon's in Cancer, and moon in Cancer is very moody. Okay, so I will talk about each of the signs, but I'm going to finish what's going on with the planets first. We've got the end planets, of course, triggering the deeper emotional story, end of story energy, mostly associated with Jupiter today, which is transitioning, people transitioning jobs, transitioning lives, transitioning homes into new careers, into new situations associated with career or higher education. My daughter just got a job in her chosen field today, which is education. And so that is really exciting. And then Venus is at 4 degrees of Aries. So she is acting on her own behalf. She is ready for a fight. Mars at late degrees Pisces doesn't want to fight. It wants cooperation and understanding, psychic awareness, basically sympathy, empathy, and compassion is what Pisces is looking for, with Mars really trying to bring out a stronger sense of compassion. And yeah, so we've got the asteroid Chiron, or now a dwarf planet, Chiron at 14 Aries. So interestingly, I always say the energy of the wounded healer. He is a healer, and he is also a very amazing humanitarian. So mythologically, astrologically, the energy is imbued to that planet, that dwarf planet, that asteroid, whatever you want to call him. He took the wounding and pursued the arts, pursued music, pursued poetry and learning. And so all of those are wrapped into the energy of Chiron as well. So when he's triggered, which Venus will in about 10 days, she's going to be conjunct to Chiron. We're going to really feel the arts come in very strongly. Poetry might take a broader place in our collective consciousness. And so look for that coming up. Aries, you're feeling that Venus and Chiron in your first house, in your sense of self. And this is sun, moon, rising. So sun and moon in Aries, and rising sun in Aries individually. So if you only have one of those, you can hear this most accurately for the rising sign. But if you have any of those, or a strong trigger, like a strong planet, say Saturn in Aries, some of this energy is definitely affecting you. Okay, so having Venus and Chiron in your Aries area is going to bring a stronger sense of the arts, a stronger sense of connection to feminine power, feminine energy. It's also the voice of Black Lives Matter, as I mentioned just about every time. So we're going to see a stronger storyline around the Black agenda in activities such as career, entertainment, awareness in the public eye. It'll also be emergencies and anything that would connect to creating something through physical labor it is laborers and, like using a hammer, using a nail, construction, things like that. And so what I said sales, construction, emergencies, emergency workers are all under this energy. So you're finding that there is more of a storyline related to women. And with the square, if you're a late Aries, early Taurus, there's a square to Pluto now, retrograde. And so that's going to bring out some deeper emotional issues for you. Of course, it is the warrior energy having your sun, moon, or rising sign at late Aries, and that's going to really trigger Pluto and the square going on between those degrees and Pluto in late Capricorn. So know that that can be a trigger for you. And definitely having Mars as your ruler, you feel the energy really strongly towards the fiery expression of your nature. Okay, Taurus, you have the sun just a couple degrees past Uranus now. Okay, there you have Uranus down here just a couple degrees past or before the sun. So Uranus-Sun conjunction. We've got North Node at 22, which of course is in Taurus, and that sextiles to the moon at 22 today. And every time the moon gets to a 22 degree, you will feel an energy, and moon at 22 Leo, which is going to be probably Monday. I think the moon moves into Leo on Sunday. Yeah, Saturday. Okay. Moon is in Leo Saturday at 7:50 a.m. So it's an early moon in Leo, which means that later Sunday night, the moon will be at 22 of Leo squaring the North Node. And that energy means that we're going to have maybe a storyline around children or creativity or romance triggering, a significant event, or a person comes into your life who may have a tremendous effect on you. Nationally in America, that is definitely a trigger to our. We had the Saturn Pluto conjunction early 2021 at 22 degrees, and I think Mercury was also there, and the sun was also there. There were 4 planets, so it is a significant moment to trigger energy. 22 Taurus is going to be about money and love, of course, and feminine energy, beauty, royalties. I don't know why that came up in my mind, but maybe there's something to do with royalty coming in. There could be an issue surrounding royalty this next week. And then we've got the moon at 22 at the time it squares North Node. It's going to be in Leo, and so that's the royalty connection, because Leo rules royals and Taurus rules money and tradition. And so the royals right now in England, anyway, it is a traditional system that they use, the monarchy. Moving on, let's see, Taurus with Uranus Sun is going to really give us a sense of independence. We want our independence. We want to work for ourselves. We want to make money for ourselves. And so if you have Taurus, moon, sun, or rising sign, it's definitely triggering you to feel more in control of yourself. But a square to Saturn in your house of career is going to bring a little frustration. Right now, it's when, like I said, that Vesta conjunction to Saturn is bringing in more of people in your career environment, taking you to task for not doing what they saw as appropriate or fit or a reason. They're challenging you, and it's probably going to make you feel insecure. Gemini, you've got Mercury in your sign right now, and that means that you're very, very chatty and you have a lot of information coming down upon you. It is about children, education, lower elementary education, teachers, pets, small pets, lizards, and the like, amphibians. It is about our pets wanting a say. Mercury makes us more aware of our animals' needs and desires. They're going to be more vocal about it. I have 2 cats, and I have one in particular, Ginger. I think she's highly influenced by air signs. She, as far as I'm concerned, I think she's a Gemini. And she's just been on me the last couple of days. She's an outdoor cat, and she's really been rubbing and rolling around in front of me and trying to get my attention. So we are feeling that energy. Also, we have communications on a bit broader scale to other people. We have to get our thoughts communicated out. It's broadcasting, journalism. And we just had a change yesterday of the communications director for the White House, which is really amazing because, of course, Mercury is in early degrees of Gemini. And that means that they're going to be quite communicative it's a woman, and she is going to be communicative for her job, like forthcoming, very forthcoming. Now, of course, we also have the square to Mars, and it's kind of past a direct square to Mercury, so that's actually positive. And we have Venus, which is women and Black women. So there is an exact sextile positive energy between Venus and Mercury today and last night when this whole announcement came about, and a Black woman took over as communication director, an exact example of those two planets directly correlating to manifestation in the real world. So that was really amazing. And then, so Geminis are going to feel like they really have to say what is on their minds. And of course, like my daughter's Jupiter is in Gemini, and she just got a new job because her Jupiter and Gemini is in her career house. So now Mercury is up there also in her career house. And so we've got a strong energy around communication. But the other planets are challenging that energy just a bit because we are quite moody still, especially Geminis are going to feel that moodiness in their charts and in their day-to-day lives. So Cancer is going to be a hard one because the moon right now is going to only be in Cancer through Saturday morning, which is tomorrow morning. So this is going to be pretty much moot by the time you hear this. So we won't really talk about the moon in Cancer, but we will talk about the moon. And the moon is going to be transiting Leo, Virgo, and Libra by next weekend. And so that means that we're going to be feeling kind of a need to connect to others, which is a very strong Leo need. And especially for Cancer, having the second house of Leo, that means that money could be really good this weekend and into early Monday, because the moon is going to be triggering fortune and risk-taking and gambling, which is what Leo does best. So if you're thinking of buying a lottery ticket, good time to do it this weekend. No guarantees. I'm not guaranteeing a win, but it is definitely a more optimistic time. And it is the Kentucky Derby weekend. So I'm going to do a rundown of all the Kentucky Derby horses because I really like to go over what time they were born. And they are, if you don't know much about the Kentucky Derby, the horses are 2-year-olds. And they are bred in a specific time of year to be born in a specific time of year, so they're old enough to run in these races. And so they're all 2-year-olds, mostly born in January, February, and March. And so they qualify for the Derby. And I'm going to be going over their charts, their specific charts. If I can get them, I'll do sunrise charts for each of them and see who really strikes me as the one that is most likely to win. And I do really good with Kentucky Derby choices. I forgot about it this time, or I might have done a little bit more this week, but maybe we'll go over what I found out next week, and I'll share what I've come up with and maybe do a little quick rundown if I feel so inclined next week. But if you're doing it yourself, you can go to the Kentucky Derby website. They have a rundown of all the all the horses, the 2-year-olds in the Derby, and they do give their information. You can find it either Kentucky Derby or searching for the list of the Derby participants, and it will give the birth dates for them, because that's a huge part of what they do in horse racing is, lineage and dates of birth and stuff like that. Okay, so Cancer, you're feeling this retrograde Pluto if you're a late Cancer, so that would be mid-July, let me see. Yeah, mid-July to late July. If your birthday isn't then, you're feeling this Pluto retrograde, and it's telling you very strongly things are not going as you would like them go. And that means that is because Pluto in Capricorn answers to Saturn in structure and restriction. And so it's trying to get past that end degree and get into Aquarius, but it has taken a retrograde, meaning it's going to be going back over what was already gone over. And So there's a pullback of energy. There is a rethinking. And so if you were looking forward to things being a certain way and reliable, that's not this energy this week. I definitely felt it last week. Today I'm feeling Jupiter. Jupiter goes into Aries next Tuesday. So there's a really big shift with Jupiter as well. And we're going to be feeling that already. If you haven't, we're feeling it now. And it's going to make us a little bit more inclined to just speak our minds and be more assertive and aggressive. But Cancer, it's about career, and it'll be on the weekend. It'll be about having fun and connecting to friends and family and children. On early next week, like Tuesday, it's going to be more about the Virgo energy, and Virgo's ruled by Mercury. So the moon in Virgo will answer to Mercury retrograding on Tuesday of next week. And so that's going to be in addition to Mercury being in Gemini. So for Leo, it's going to be rather difficult, and Virgo, because Leo will feel the Virgo energy, the Mercury energy in the second house of money and relationships to people and interactions. And who you're joined in a relationship with, you'll feel it there. You'll feel it in your financial houses. And so that could also relate to education coming up next week. And then, of course, Mercury being, let's see, if you're a Leo rising or a Leo sun, you'll feel Mercury in your house of friendships and people associated with work and career. And then if you're a Virgo, you're going to feel it in your sense of self, because not only do you have Sun in Virgo, you answer to Mercury and you square where Mercury is now, and Mercury is going retrograde. So it's going to probably be an early week difficulty with that transition of Mercury retrograde for both Gemini and Virgo. And for those following along with the Johnny Depp trial, he is a Gemini. I think he's a mid-range Gemini, June 9th, which means his sun is not far from the Mercury in the zodiac right now. I would say about 14 degrees. And I'm pretty sure he has Venus, and his Venus is in Taurus, if I'm not mistaken, with his Mercury, or there's some kind of Mercury-Venus connection with Amber Heard. I don't remember. Anyway, it's interesting. Think about this. They're on hiatus until the 10th, I believe, or the 16th. No, the 16th. They're on hiatus from this trial through the 16th. And Mercury will be back in Taurus at that time, which rules physical abuse. And so it'll be really interesting because they wrapped up yesterday with Mercury on the precipice of going retrograde. But when they come back, Mercury will be retrograde, which means you can expect that this trial is going to be highly repetitive in the information that we go over. So whatever we've gone over for the last week and a half is going to get revisited multiple times with multiple energy. So okay, so the Virgo people, we're having all of that opposition of Mars, Neptune, Jupiter, at least through next Tuesday, opposite your sun, opposite your rising sun, opposite your moon. And that means it's a relationship to other people. It is the possible ending of a situation with a partner. And it also is the emotionalism of a situation, as opposed to Virgo's rock hard analysis. You're going to be kind of broken down with your sense of self. So your sense of logic is being highly challenged right now. So your analysis ability, it's about people acting through emotion, because Mars opposite Virgo in Pisces is going to be really highly emotional. Neptune has been there for a while, so you're probably already used to the Neptune energy of being very emotional. But Jupiter wrapping up Pisces and going into the house of commitment is also the house of legalities for you, is going to bring a consideration of a shift for that relationship, whether it is an ending or a lawsuit or joint financial endeavors that have to be addressed. Any of the above are going to be part of your future in the coming weeks. Libra, we've got you basically opposite the Jupiter entering Aries energy. The Venus energy and Chiron in Aries is all opposing your sun, moon, and rising. There are no planets from right now as I speak. There's nothing from Leo through Capricorn. So it's a very vacant area of the sky, but what it means is all of those signs, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, are all opposing, squaring, or sextiling what's going on in the sky right now. So it means that you are having an externalization or a projection of the energy that you look back at as a mirror. So it's not as if it's directly affecting you in like by going over your planets, unless you have any of the Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer planets. You're basically having it projected out there. And so you're watching it, you're observing other people. And so that's true for Leo through Capricorn. And Libra specifically is going to be dealing with an opposition of their sun and rising and moon to the Aries energy, which means your partner is going to be more assertive and more aggressive to you. You are probably not going to be enjoying that energy. And you've also got, if you're a late Libra, which is around October 15th through the 23rd, you're going to be feeling this retrograde Pluto squaring your sun sign or your moon or your rising. And that means a shift of ideology, and you are about to make a major shift with your home life, but then it pulls back, and now it's going to be more, well, it is your home life, but you're going to have to go back over the structure of the home situation that you've got. Okay, Scorpio, your ruling planet is Pluto. Oh, and also Libra, my bad. Libra, your ruling planet's in Aries, so it's just going to even accent that situation with a partner more, and it's projecting out your sense of self to the other, which in this case, Venus rules Libra, receptive feminine, air, which is a thinking woman, and it's going over there to the action, hothead, driven, passionate feminine energy. So you're going to be feeling that in your relationships. Scorpio, ruled by Pluto. Of course, Pluto just went retrograde 2 signs away. So it's in sextile, but that just means that you're refining what it is you want to do in your house of communications. Let me double check. Yeah, house of communications. I'm not rotating this chart, so I'm having to, well, you can see it too, because I'm going to be posting this video. Scorpio here, if you put it over here in the first house, then that makes Sagittarius your second and Capricorn your third. So Pluto is about to go into your house of home and family, Scorpio rising. And that means that you have family issues that are being triggered, especially because your family issues are being highlighted by Saturn Vesta in Aquarius. But Pluto isn't quite there, which means whatever situation you've been dealing with for that home life, about to really shift the dynamic in the home life, is taking a back seat again, or retrograding back into house of communications. You've been really strongly dealing with the lack of being taken seriously through your analyses and what you have to say. Capricorn, it really gives and gives and gives, but it also tries to control a lot. And so your mechanisms for coping through control are seriously being challenged. So you're being forced in a great sense to change and alter how you cope and how you interact with people in authority through communication. So you are probably at your wit's end with how to deal with these people. I know I am. And so yet we have another 2 years of Pluto in Capricorn for some of the year. Yes, it moves into Aquarius next year, but when it retrogrades, it does get back into Capricorn. So it's this summer and next year, we have still some degrees of Pluto in Capricorn. And so it's going to affect us through that shift. What it's trying to do is really gel our viewpoint. And because it moved forward closer to the Aquarian energy, it's awakened a certain sense of independence and autonomy, and truly the desire to not control as much and be more allowing, to relax and let it go, as the song said. Because remember, Let It Go from Frozen came in when Pluto went into Capricorn. And now that Pluto's getting ready to go out of Capricorn, it is the culmination of that let it go energy. And that's what we're really trying to get to. And that's true for everybody experiencing Pluto right now, is what it is we have to let go. And it doesn't mean we're bad or a worse person because of it. It means that now we're coming into our own viewpoint, And we really need to start detaching from those who would insist that we behave a certain way that is not in alignment with how we need to behave and act within our own lives. So Scorpio, that you and Capricorn are really strongly feeling this energy because you share the commonality of Pluto and Capricorn. And also the Saturn energy in Aquarius really triggering you because Saturn is squaring the energy of Scorpio. And so Saturn in Aquarius squaring Scorpio is going to bring out more, is this really what I want to do in my career? Is this truly my life purpose? Am I getting my life purpose done the way I need to? I know I've definitely been kind of back and forth about my career and where I need to put my energy. My Saturn by progression for my age is retrograde in late degrees of Aquarius. It's at 0 Pisces by chart, but retrograde into Capricorn. Actually, now it's direct by progression in late Aquarius. So it's squaring that Scorpio energy. And that's really challenging those people who are in their Saturn returns right now. And trying to think, Johnny Depp, I believe, is in his second Saturn return right now. And anybody who's around 28 to 30 is in their first Saturn return. So if you're born in the mid 60s, early to mid 60s, you're in a second Saturn return. And in whatever 28 years past that would be is late 80s, I believe, mid to late 80s, you're in your first, early 90s, early 90s, as you approach 27. So yeah, you're right around the 1990s. You're in that return. You're going to be feeling this really strong energy. Whatever your sign, Saturn right now in late Aquarius, if you're born in those two eras, you're going to be feeling the Saturn, and it's going to go retrograde not too long from now. I think a little longer than I thought. It goes retrograde in June. So yeah. Okay, Sagittarius, your ruling planet is Jupiter. This is a big week for you. Sagittarius moving into a fire sign, which means it's cooperative by trine. But it also means if you're an early Sagittarius, which is November 23rd through the end of the month, basically anyone born in November, this is going to really make you stand up and wake up and feel that energy, feel that fire. I would say also be very, very cautious about travel, because when Jupiter, the planet of long distance travel, airline travel, changes signs, especially from an endings to a beginning of Aries, it's going to be more aggressive. It's going to show us assertiveness and power. And it can also burn out some energy, like fiery energy, like a gun going off. And that hits Sagittarius really hard. So you're going to feel this really strong kind of jarring energy in your life, and pay attention, because that is a big situation issue for the Jupiter retrograde later in the year when it goes back into Pisces, and at the end of the year when it goes back into Aries. That's going to be part of your storyline for the rest of the year, on and off. So yeah, Jupiter is about education for you. Let's see, that's going to fall in your house of friends and children. So it does mean that there is going to be a strong storyline around children for you. And that can mean that they're wanting more independence, especially with Jupiter, which does want independence, or they could be traveling farther away from you. Or as is in the case with my kid's dad, who has Saturn in Sag, he is going on a road trip with both his kids this coming week. So I will pointedly point out, be super careful if you're on a road trip next week. So it's interesting that these things come about. It's like, wow, that happened at exactly the right time for the planets and their positions. But you can pretty much put any planet in any sign on the horizon and find indicators of situations through that particular energy. So if you put Sagittarius as a rising sign, and then of course you have Jupiter going into the house of children, with Jupiter's long distance travel, they're driving from Minneapolis to Florida. So it's a fairly long trip, 3 days. And that's the kind of energy you're going to get, but it's also going to be potentially contentious if you are traveling with your kids. So just know that, that's a potential, that if you're feeling like you're going to say whatever's on your mind, you're going to probably run into some resistance from your children. Okay, Capricorn, my sympathies, because you, of course, are going to have the Pluto energy retrograde in your first house or affecting your planets in Capricorn. And so it's something that you've been dealing with since 2007. So you're probably really adept at it, but you are still not letting go of everything you need to let go of. And Pluto is going to show you what that is. Whichever house it's in, that's what's going to come up for you. And so it's going to be through the summer until October when Pluto goes direct. It can be political, it can be hierarchical, it'll be around career, it'll be around the structures and the bones and dental work, or potentially surgery, because Pluto does rule surgery. So look for skeletal issues, sore backs, especially sore backs when you are taking on more than your fair share of the work. And I emphasize this because definitely what happens is you end up controlling everything, and you don't want to control everything. You want to let go and let other people take some ownership. So it's really about shifting from owning it in a blame sense, like they're never doing it, so if they don't do it, I have to do it. Who's going to do it if I don't do it? Go and change that attitude to responsibility. If you look at it through responsibility, like, is this my responsibility? No, it's not. It's theirs. Is it my responsibility? Yeah, it is. Okay, I'll take it and I'll run with it. I've got big chills with this for you. This is a big issue. Go from pointing and blame to ownership and responsibility, and ask yourself who's responsible. And that way you will figure out better how to deal with it and how to get through this period. Aquarius, yeah, you've got a big bunch of stuff going on for you too. That Pluto is retrograding in your subconscious house, so it's going to really challenge your sense of hierarchy and authority and respect for those in charge. Yeah, and Saturn in your first house is, or on your moon or your sun, is going to highly affect your sense of personal power. So what Aquarius is, it's Uranian in rulership, and Uranus wants to show hypocrisy. It wants to be contrary and show people the other. Okay, yeah, that's your dogma, that's your point of view, that's your belief. This is the other side of it. Look at this side. You're not seeing this. You need to see this. So yeah, you're gonna be answering to Uranus, which just got over its conjunction to the sun. So some of these issues have been right there in the forefront of your ideas and ideology. And Uranus still in Taurus direct, because he went direct late last year. He's still got a couple months before he goes retrograde. So he's still going forward in Taurus. Cryptocurrency, of course, being affected. Now, Pluto is more about the systems of government, the systems of corporations. So we're seeing a pulling back within corporations of their view of what's going on. And so, you know, the energy around Uranus as it associates to Aquarius, it is a square. Saturn is past the direct square, but it's going to still feel the square by energy. And because Saturn answers to Uranus right now, he is always checking on what Uranus is doing with other planets. So Uranus, the conjunction to the sun going away, has been really big for ego and sense of self, and a challenge to the self and what Uranian influenced people really understand. And then finally, Pisces. Yeah, you've got it going on, not gonna lie. You're really emotional, supercharged emotional. I have a daughter with Mercury in Pisces, so supercharged with emotion, probably a little bit of sickness coming in, because of course Pisces is opposite to health. So unless you have some really strong Martian energy in Virgo, you're probably challenged with sinus or fluids congestion, ear liquids, anything with the body fluids, even drinking water to get your digestion going, you know, anything with how your body integrates blood, liquids, urine, everything, all of it, the fluids in your body. So take the time out to just refresh. You know, we're going to be dealing with this energy for a few weeks with Mars there, and then still Neptune's not leaving. And so we've got the Saturn going into Pisces in the near future within a year. So you're going to have to still deal with some of these very strong energies. But the positive side of it is Uranus is in sextile to the energy in your chart right now. Mars just got past a sextile exact to Uranus. So that is really good for you for communication and being grounded in how you talk to people. Having Pisces rising in the first house, that's where Taurus falls in communication. You're going to have the Mercury retrograde affecting your house of home and family and siblings, and then going back into the house of siblings and communication, but in Taurus. So it goes from speaking your mind, being very forthright with your family, to, oh, I'm going to be a little more demure and think about how I talk to them again. So you're going to have to go back over how you speak to your family, friends, siblings, that kind of thing. Taurus is in the house of communication, so your love of broadcasting or doing things that are of artistic talent is really strong. I would say give it free rein. You've got Venus in Aries, so she wants to express herself in your second house of money, and that is your second house of money. Aries is also ruled by Taurus, so really strong energy right now for Pisces around identity, around taking action on the things you love and the vision. You've had Neptune in your first house for quite a while. Mars is hyperactive towards really expressing that creative nature. And then you've got the Aries Venus really saying, hey, money time is now. Jupiter going into Aries, fabulous time for you. Selling, if you're an artist, sell your artwork. Really great time for that. Don't get too, and this is for everybody, don't get too bogged down in personal situation. Like, in other words, don't take things too personally, because when we take it personally, most likely that other person is not thinking at all about you and your reactions. They're thinking about themselves and their reactions. So yeah, don't be too personal with how you interact with people. I guess the last thing is the Mercury retrograde before the end of next week. And Mercury retrograde in Gemini, kind of like everything I was saying, it's about communication, broadcasting, children, small animals, appliances, short distance travel, and vehicles. So when it retrogrades, which is Tuesday at 7:47 a.m. Eastern and 4:47 a.m. Pacific, and so add, I believe, 5 hours for England, if I'm not mistaken. I think they also changed their times in the time zone. So it's going to be just before 1 p.m. for England and GMT. And you can adjust it in the European time zones for that. GMT is just before 1 p.m. And so, yeah, we're going to have this energy coming in over the weekend. Again, Mercury retrogrades on Tuesday, and Jupiter goes into Aries on Tuesday. So Aries, that happens at 7:22 p.m. So right about 12 hours after the Mercury retrograde. So what does that mean? Well, Mercury in Gemini and a Jupiter long distance travel, you can definitely see that there will be issues around travel. The fact that Mercury is retrograding in early degrees of Gemini and Jupiter enters in early degrees of Aries, it is a positive sextile, but that also means that there is going to be attention paid to it. So it will mean a more positive outcome, but it is a transportation aspect, and Jupiter does rule emergencies when it enters Aries. And because Mercury rules Gemini retrograding, it is the thought process is not 100%. I have seen much more aggression on the road today, this week even. I was at a light yesterday, and the light had a right turn, which is usually mostly blocked. If you get in early, within a couple cars of the light, you can eke into the right turn lane and turn right. But the light is extremely short, only 3 cars get through, and there was someone behind us. We were third in line. He went around us in the left turn lane on a green light for the other people, not for us, and then took a right around the person in front of me in the straight lane on a red light. It was very aggressive. I've seen people crossing from the far left lane to exit the highway. Saw that today. It's just super aggressive out there, and it's going to catch up to you next week, trust me, and maybe even as early as Saturday, Sunday. So just be super cautious, be super aware of your fellow man behind the wheel. Nothing is so important that you have to endure the stress and agitation of an accident or even worse. So please, please just be careful out there. Okay, that's all for this week. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoy the podcast, and we'll see you next week. Please do share, like, and subscribe, and I really do want you to comment. Please give me some comments. I listen to them. Take care. Bye. Circle the flow.
Hey, this is Shelley. I wanted to give you a heads up that there are a lot of new art prints at shelleyoverton.com. So go over there and check them out. SHELLEYOVERTON.com. Thanks. Hi, this is Shelley. Thank you for joining us this week. To contact me for a private reading, go to angeliczodiac.com under the Readings tab. Background music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. To purchase my ebook, Learn Astrology, you can find it at angeliczodiac.com, including discounts. Be sure to check back next week and subscribe through iTunes at Astro Energy Astrology Show.